Every family vacation I was left out while my mom prioritized my sister's big family. So I bought my own Getaway and let them taste Exclusion. I'm Amelia, 38, and I work as a freelance graphic designer. My sister Jessica is 35, married to Mike, and they have 4 kids: Tyler, 12, Hannah, 10, Jake, 8, and Sophia, 6. Our mom, Linda, is 62 and has always played favorites. Guess who wasn't a favorite? For the past 8 years, our family has had this tradition of spending 2 weeks every summer at Mom's beach house in North Carolina. It's a decent-sized place, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a beautiful view of the ocean. Plenty of space for a normal family gathering, right? Wrong. Every single year without fail, Mom would call me in March with the same speech. "Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but there's just not enough room at the beach house this year. Jessica's family is so big now, and you know how the kids need their space. Maybe next year we can work something out." Meanwhile, Jessica would get the royal treatment. Mom would spend weeks preparing for their arrival, stocking the house with all their favorite foods, buying new beach toys for the kids, and basically rolling out the red carpet. Jessica's family would pile into that house like they owned it, spreading their stuff everywhere and acting like they were the only ones who mattered. The worst part, my 2 kids, Alex, 9, and Mia, 7, would ask me every summer why we couldn't go to Grandma's beach house like their cousins. What was I supposed to tell them? That Grandma didn't think we were important enough? This wasn't just about vacation space. This was about 8 years of watching Mom bend over backwards for Jessica while treating me like an afterthought. Jessica had married her college boyfriend Mike right after graduation, popped out 4 kids in 6 years, and somehow became Mom's golden child. Mike worked in sales and made decent money, but nothing spectacular. Yet somehow they were always portrayed as the successful ones. Me? I started my graphic design business from scratch after my divorce 4 years ago. I work my butt off, often pulling 12-hour days to build my client base and keep food on the table for my kids. But because I work from home and don't have a traditional 9-to-5 job, Mom always acted like I was unemployed. Amelia is still figuring things out, she'd tell relatives at family gatherings. Jessica's got such a stable life with Mike and the children. Jessica loved it. She'd make little comments whenever we were together. "Must be nice to have such a flexible schedule," she'd say with that fake sweet smile. I couldn't handle not knowing where my next paycheck was coming from. The beach house situation was just the most obvious example of the favoritism. Every year, I'd watch Jessica post dozens of Instagram photos from their amazing family vacation at my mom's beach house. The kids building sandcastles, Mike grilling on the deck, Jessica lounging in the hammock with a drink. Meanwhile, my kids and I would spend those 2 weeks at home, maybe taking day trips to the local pool or watching movies. Last summer was the breaking point. I had just landed my biggest client ever, a tech startup that wanted me to redesign their entire brand identity. It was a 6-figure contract that would set us up nicely for the year. I was excited to share the news at Mom's birthday party in June. "That's wonderful, dear," Mom said when I told her about the contract. "Maybe now you can think about getting a more stable job." Jessica laughed. "Come on, Mom. Amelia likes playing around on her computer. It's not like she's ready for a real career." I kept my mouth shut like always. But later that evening, when Mom was doing her annual "sorry, not enough room" speech about the beach house, Jessica decided to twist the knife. "You know, Amelia," she said loud enough for everyone to hear, "maybe if you had a real job, you could afford your own vacation. The rest of us shouldn't have to sacrifice our family time because you can't get your life together." Mom nodded along. "Jessica has a point. Honey, Mike works so hard, and those kids deserve their vacation, maybe when you're more established." I smiled and nodded just like I had for the past 7 years. "Of course I understand. You all have a great time." But inside, I was done. Absolutely done. That tech startup contract was just the beginning. Word spread about my work, and suddenly I had more clients than I could handle. I raised my rates, started being more selective about projects, and began building something bigger than just a freelance business. By October, I had enough steady income to hire 2 employees. By December, I had landed 3 more major corporate clients. By February, I was looking at office space and considering expanding into digital marketing services. The money was rolling in, but I didn't tell anyone in my family. I kept driving my same old Honda, living in the same modest house, and dressing the same way I always had. As far as they knew, I was still just playing around on my computer. In March, right around the time Mom usually called with her not enough room speech, I made an offer on a small resort property about 2 hours from the beach house. It wasn't huge, just 12 rooms, a restaurant, and a beautiful stretch of private beach, but it was perfect for what I had in mind. The previous owners had run it into the ground and were desperate to sell. I got it for a fraction of what it was worth and immediately hired a management company to run the day-to-day operations while I focused on renovations. By May, the resort was transformed. I had put nearly $200,000 into upgrades, new furniture, completely renovated rooms, a gorgeous infinity pool overlooking the ocean, and a kids' play area that would make Disney jealous. The restaurant was serving 5-star food, and the whole place looked like something out of a luxury travel magazine. I called it Seaside Haven Resort, and it was absolutely stunning. More importantly, it was mine, all mine. It soft opened in June with a few paying guests to work out any kinks. Everything ran smoothly. The reviews were incredible, and bookings for the summer were already coming in strong. Meanwhile, Jessica was posting her usual pre-vacation content on social media. Photos of the kids shopping for beach clothes, Mike loading up the car, excited captions about their annual family tradition at Grandma's house. Mom called me in late June with her predictable speech. "Amelia, honey, I'm so sorry, but..." "I know, Mom. Not enough room, no worries at all. Alex and Mia and I have other plans this year anyway." "Oh, that's wonderful, dear. Where are you going?" "Just a little place I found. Nothing fancy." The first week of July, I packed up my kids and drove to Seaside Haven. I had booked us the best suite in the place, a 2-bedroom oceanfront room with a private balcony and direct beach access. Alex and Mia couldn't believe it. "Mom, this place is incredible," Mia squealed as she ran around the suite. "Are we really staying here for 2 whole weeks?" "We sure are, baby girl." We spent our days on the private beach, eating amazing food at the restaurant, swimming in the infinity pool, and doing all the activities I had arranged: horseback riding, deep-sea fishing, kayaking. It was the vacation we'd never been able to afford before, and watching my kids experience it was worth every penny I'd spent on the place. But the best part was still to come. In August, I started making phone calls. First, I called my Uncle Tom and Aunt Carol, Mom's brother and sister-in-law. They'd always been kind to me and my kids, and they had 3 children of their own who were around Alex and Mia's ages. "Hey, Uncle Tom, I wanted to invite you guys to spend Labor Day weekend at this resort I know. All expenses paid, food, activities, everything. I just want to treat the family to something special." "Amelia, that's incredibly generous, but we couldn't possibly..." "I insist. I've had a really good year business-wise, and I want to share it with the people who matter to me." Next, I called my cousin David, Mom's nephew, and his wife Jennifer. They had 2 teenagers who never got to do anything fun because money was tight. "Dave, how would you guys like to spend a long weekend at a 5-star resort?" "My treat. I know money's been tight since Jennifer got laid off, and I thought the family could use a break." I called my dad's sister, Aunt Nancy, and her husband. I called my second cousins, the Martinez family, who had always been struggling but were the sweetest people you'd ever meet. I called everyone who had ever been kind to me and my children, everyone who had ever made us feel included and valued. By the time I was done, I had invited 22 people from our extended family to spend Labor Day weekend at Seaside Haven. I booked out the entire resort, arranged for a private chef to prepare all the meals, and planned activities for every age group. I didn't invite Mom or Jessica. Labor Day weekend was magical. All my relatives were blown away by the resort, constantly asking how I could afford such an incredible place. I just smiled and said I'd had a good year. Uncle Tom pulled me aside on Saturday evening. "Amelia, this is unbelievable. You've really done something special here. Your mom must be so proud." "Mom doesn't know about it," I said casually. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I didn't invite her. Or Jessica. Uncle Tom looked confused. But why? This is a family gathering. Tom. For 8 years, Mom has told me there's not enough room at her beach house for me and my kids. Every single summer we've been excluded from the family vacation because Jessica's family takes up too much space. So this year I decided to host my own family gathering. And unfortunately, there's just not enough room for everyone. The truth spread through the group like wildfire. Everyone knew about the beach house situation. They'd heard Mom's excuses and Jessica's comments over the years. Some of them had even asked Mom privately why I was never included in the summer vacation. Monday morning, as everyone was checking out and heading home, my phone started ringing. It was Mom. Amelia, where are you? Tom just called me with some ridiculous story about you owning a resort. That can't be true. It's true, Mom. What? How is that possible? You don't have that kind of money. Apparently, I do. There was a long pause. Amelia, I'm confused. If you could afford something like this, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you invite us? You told me there wasn't enough room at your beach house. I'm telling you there's not enough room at my resort. That's completely different. The beach house is what, Mom? Not big enough for everyone? Well, guess what? Neither is my resort. But Amelia, we're family. Funny how you remember that now. I hung up. 20 minutes later, Jessica called. What the hell is wrong with you? She screamed into the phone. Mom is crying her eyes out. How could you do this to us? Do what, Jessica? Have a family gathering? I thought you'd be happy. You always said I should be more successful. You know what I mean. You deliberately excluded us. The way you excluded me and my kids for 8 years. That was different. The beach house really isn't big enough for everyone. And my resort really isn't big enough for everyone either. Funny how that works. This is petty and vindictive. Amelia, you're better than this. No, Jessica. I'm exactly this. I'm tired of being treated like the family failure when I work twice as hard as anyone else. I'm tired of watching my kids get left out because you decided your family matters more than mine. The weeks that followed were intense. Mom called me every day, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, always demanding to know why I was punishing them. I raised you better than this, Amelia. This isn't how family treats each other. You're right, Mom. Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me for the past 8 years. I never excluded you. There genuinely wasn't enough room. There was room, Mom. You just chose to give it all to Jessica. Every year you chose her family over mine. Every year you made my kids feel like they didn't matter. Did you think I wouldn't notice? Did you think they wouldn't notice? Jessica tried a different approach. She started telling other family members I was being cruel and vindictive, that I was punishing innocent children because of some perceived slight. But the family members who had been at the resort weekend knew the truth. They'd heard Mom's excuses and Jessica's comments for years. They'd watched me smile and nod while being consistently excluded from family gatherings. Uncle Tom actually called Mom and told her she owed me an apology. Linda, that girl has been nothing but gracious for years while you've treated her like a second-class family member. Now she's more successful than any of us and she's sharing that success with people who actually appreciate her. Aunt Carol backed him up. The way Jessica talks to Amelia is appalling. Linda, I've heard her make those comments about Amelia's job, and it's mean-spirited. Amelia has every right to celebrate her success with people who support her. The resort was booming. The Labor Day weekend had generated incredible word of mouth, and I was booked solid through the fall. I hired more staff, expanded the restaurant hours, and started planning winter renovations to add a spa. My graphic design business was thriving too. The success of the resort had somehow made me more confident in all areas of my life. I was charging premium rates, taking on bigger projects, and my reputation in the industry was growing rapidly. Alex and Mia were flourishing too. They were proud of what I'd accomplished, proud that we could finally afford the nice things they'd watched their cousins take for granted. More importantly, they were learning that hard work pays off and that you don't have to accept being treated poorly just because someone is family. Thanksgiving was approaching, and traditionally it was held at Mom's house. She called me in early November. Amelia, I hope you'll come to Thanksgiving dinner. I know we've had our differences, but it's important for the family to be together. Will there be enough room for everyone, Mom? Of course there will. Don't be ridiculous. Interesting. Your dining room table seats 8. Jessica's family is 6 people. You and Dad make 8. Where exactly are Alex, Mia, and I supposed to sit? We'll figure something out. We always do, right? Jessica's family gets the main table, and my kids and I get folding chairs in the kitchen. Thanks, but we'll pass. Amelia? You're being unreasonable. I'm being realistic. For the first time in my life, I'm being realistic about how this family works. Instead, I invited Uncle Tom's family, Aunt Nancy's family, and the Martinez family to Thanksgiving dinner at the resort. We had an incredible meal prepared by the chef. Plenty of room for everyone, and the kids played on the beach after dinner. December brought another round of phone calls from Mom. Amelia, I've been thinking. Maybe we should have Christmas at your resort this year. It would be nice for everyone to see what you've built. That's a generous offer, Mom, but the resort is booked solid through New Year's. I don't have any availability, but surely you could make an exception for family. I could make an exception for family that treats me like family. What do you want from me, Amelia? Do you want me to apologize? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you felt excluded from the beach house. I was just trying to accommodate everyone. No, Mom. You were accommodating Jessica. There's a difference. Jessica has 4 children and I have 2. Apparently your math says 4 is more important than 2. The conversation ended with Mom hanging up on me. I spent Christmas morning with Alex and Mia at home, then drove to the resort for Christmas dinner with the family members who had become my real support system. We had 25 people there, everyone except Mom, Dad, Jessica, and her family. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. No passive-aggressive comments about my career, no watching my kids get smaller, cheaper gifts than their cousins, no feeling like I had to be grateful for scraps of attention. Just good food, genuine laughter, and people who appreciated what I'd worked so hard to build. As I stood on the resort's deck on New Year's Eve watching fireworks over the ocean with my kids beside me, I made a resolution. I was done apologizing for my success. I was done making myself smaller to make other people comfortable. I was done accepting crumbs from people who should have been celebrating my accomplishments. The resort was proof that I wasn't the family failure they'd made me feel like for so many years. I was a successful businesswoman who had built something beautiful from nothing. My kids were proud of me, my real friends supported me, and the family members who mattered had seen what I was capable of. Mom called me on New Year's Day. Amelia, I want to make things right between us. What will it take? It would take you acknowledging that you treated me unfairly for years. It would take you admitting that there was always room at the beach house, but you chose to give it all to Jessica. It would take you apologizing to my children for making them feel unwanted at family gatherings. I can't apologize for decisions I made in the best interest of the family. Then we don't have anything else to talk about. You're really going to throw away our relationship over a vacation house? Mom, I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just done pretending that being related to someone means you have to let them treat you poorly. I'm done teaching my children that family means accepting less than you deserve. It's been 6 months since I bought the resort. Business is incredible. I'm expanding to a second property and my graphic design firm is now a full-service digital agency with 8 employees. Alex and Mia are thriving. They're confident, happy kids who know their worth and won't settle for being treated as less than by anyone. Some family members have tried to mediate between Mom and me, but I'm not interested. I've spent too many years being the family peacekeeper, smoothing over other people's bad behavior and making excuses for being treated poorly. Jessica sent me a friend request on Facebook last month. I declined it. Mom sends me articles about families healing from conflict and the importance of forgiveness. I delete them without reading them. By summer, the resort was completely booked through September. I had waiting lists for every weekend and corporate groups were booking us for retreats months in advance. The success was overwhelming in the best possible way. Alex finished 4th grade with straight A's, and Mia was excelling in 2nd grade. They both joined the local swim team and were making friends easily. For the first time in years, they weren't asking why they couldn't go to family gatherings or wondering why Grandma didn't seem to like them as much as their cousins. Mom, Alex said one evening as we were having dinner on the resort's deck, Tyler asked me at school why we don't come to the beach house anymore. Tyler was Jessica's oldest son, and he attended the same school as Alex. I had wondered when this conversation would come up. What did you tell him? I told him we have our own place now. He said it looked way cooler than Grandma's house when he saw the pictures on Instagram. I smiled. The resort's social media presence was strong, and I posted regularly about events, beautiful sunset shots, and happy families enjoying their stays. It wasn't meant to be petty, but I won't lie, it felt good knowing that Jessica probably saw every post. He asked if he could come visit sometime, Alex continued. I told him I didn't know if his mom would let him. That stung a little. The kids were innocent in all this, and Tyler had always been sweet to Alex and Mia. But I wasn't about to open that door. In July, my cousin David's daughter Rachel announced her engagement. The wedding would be in October, and it was going to be the first big family event since everything had blown up. David called me personally to invite me. Amelia, I know things are complicated with your mom and Jessica right now, but Rachel really wants you there. You've been so generous to our family, and she considers you one of her favorite aunts. Will Mom and Jessica be there? Of course, it's a family wedding. But Rachel specifically asked me to make sure you knew how much she wants you to come. She said, if anyone deserves to celebrate with family, it's you. I thought about it for a week. Rachel was a sweet girl who had never been anything but kind to me and my kids. She didn't deserve to have her wedding day overshadowed by family drama. I'll be there, I told David. But I'm bringing security. Security? Just one guy. Someone to make sure things don't get out of hand if Jessica decides to make a scene. The wedding was beautiful. Rachel looked radiant, and the ceremony was held at a lovely vineyard about an hour from the city. I arrived with Alex and Mia, all of us dressed to the nines. I had bought Mia a gorgeous navy blue dress and Alex a sharp little suit. They looked like they belonged at any high-class event. Mom spotted us immediately during the cocktail hour. She approached cautiously, like she wasn't sure what reception she'd get. Amelia, you look wonderful. The kids have grown so much. Thank you. How have you been? I heard the resort is doing very well. It is. She waited for me to elaborate, but I didn't. After a few awkward seconds, she tried again. I've been thinking a lot about our conversation at Christmas. Maybe we could talk sometime soon. Maybe. Jessica appeared at Mom's shoulder, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Hi, Amelia. Jessica. The kids look nice, she said, glancing at Alex and Mia, who were chatting with their second cousins by the appetizer table. They do. The conversation was painful in its awkwardness. Other family members kept approaching our little group, clearly hoping we'd work things out right there at the wedding. But I wasn't interested in making anyone else comfortable at my expense anymore. When dinner was served, I noticed something interesting. The seating chart had placed me and my kids at the main family table, right between Uncle Tom's family and Aunt Nancy's family. Mom and Jessica were at a separate table with Jessica's kids and Mike. Rachel had made a choice, and it wasn't in Mom's favor. During the reception, Rachel made her way over to me during the dancing portion of the evening. Aunt Amelia, thank you so much for coming. I know things are weird with Grandma Linda right now. Your wedding day isn't about family drama, sweetheart. I'm here to celebrate you. I just want you to know that what you did with the resort weekend was amazing. Cousin David's family still talks about it all the time. They said it was the best vacation they'd ever had. I'm glad they enjoyed it, and I want you to know that I see how hard you work and what you've accomplished. Not everyone in the family gives you credit for it, but some of us do. Rachel's words meant more to me than she probably realized. Here was a 24-year-old who had more emotional intelligence than people twice her age. As the evening wound down, Jessica cornered me by the bar. We need to talk, she said, and she clearly had a few drinks. No, we don't. Yes, we do. This has gone on long enough. You're tearing the family apart. I'm not tearing anything apart, Jessica. I'm just not participating in my own mistreatment anymore. Oh, please. Mistreatment. You're being dramatic. 8 years, Jessica. 8 years of being told there wasn't room for my kids at family vacations. 8 years of listening to you make comments about my career and my life choices. 8 years of watching my children feel excluded while your kids got treated like royalty. Those weren't personal attacks. I was just being honest about your situation. My situation? You mean the situation where I built a six-figure business from scratch while raising 2 kids on my own? That situation? Jessica's face flushed red. You act like you're so successful now. But where was all this money when we were growing up? Why didn't you have a stable job when your kids were little? Because I was building something better than a stable job. I was building a business. I was investing in my future instead of settling for comfortable mediocrity. Comfortable mediocrity? I have a good marriage and 4 healthy kids. And I'm happy for you. But that doesn't give you the right to treat me like I'm less than you because I chose a different path. Jessica looked around to make sure no one was listening, then leaned closer. You want to know the truth? Mom was trying to protect you. She knew you couldn't afford to contribute to vacation expenses the way Mike and I could. She was trying to save you the embarrassment. I stared at her for a long moment. Jessica, I offered to pay for my share of expenses every single year. Every year I told Mom I could cover food, utilities, whatever she needed. She never once asked me to contribute anything. That's not how I remember it. That's because you were never part of those conversations. You just assumed I was broke because it made you feel better about excluding me. The security guard I'd hired, a nice guy named Marcus who handled event security as a side business, appeared at my elbow. I'd asked him to keep an eye on things and step in if any conversations got too heated. Everything okay here, Miss Amelia? Jessica looked surprised. You really brought security to a family wedding? I brought insurance against drama. Looks like it was a good investment. I walked away before she could respond. The Monday after the wedding, my phone started ringing early. It was Uncle Tom. Amelia, I heard there was some tension at the wedding. Are you okay? I'm fine, Uncle Tom. Jessica had a few drinks and decided it was time for a heart-to-heart. David told me you handled yourself well. He also mentioned that you brought security. Just a precaution. I wanted to enjoy Rachel's wedding without worrying about anyone making a scene. That's actually pretty smart. I might steal that idea for future family events. Uncle Tom's comment made me laugh, but it also made me think. Maybe I wasn't the only one who was tired of walking on eggshells around certain family members. By fall, I was actively looking at a second property. My business partner, a hotel management expert named Robert Chen, who had approached me after hearing about Seaside Haven's success, had found a mountain retreat property in North Carolina that was perfect for expansion. The Mountain View Lodge was a 20-room property with a spa, conference facilities, and incredible hiking trails. It was in foreclosure and needed significant renovation, but it had incredible potential. Amelia, this could be the flagship property for a whole chain, Robert said as we toured the grounds. Seaside Haven proves you understand the luxury family market. This place could capture the corporate retreat and spa weekend market. I made an offer that week. While the lawyers worked out the purchase agreement, I focused on the holiday season at Seaside Haven. We were booked solid from Thanksgiving through New Year's, and I had started a waiting list for Christmas the following year. Mom called in early November, just like she had the year before. Amelia, I want to try something different this year. What if we had Thanksgiving at Seaside Haven? I could pay for everyone's accommodation and we could have the whole family together. The resort is fully booked, Mom. But surely you could make some adjustments. Cancel a few reservations. I'm not going to disappoint paying customers to accommodate people who spent years making it clear I wasn't a priority. Amelia, I'm trying to make things right. No, you're trying to make things convenient. There's a difference. What do you want from me? I want you to admit that you were wrong. I want you to acknowledge that you played favorites for years and that it hurt me and my children. I want you to apologize for making my kids feel unwanted at family gatherings. I never intended for the kids to feel unwanted, but they did feel unwanted, Mom. Intent doesn't erase impact. There was a long pause. I don't know how to fix this, Amelia. Maybe you can't fix it. Maybe some things are broken beyond repair. I don't accept that. Then you're going to be disappointed. Mountain View Lodge opened in March with a soft launch for friends and family. I invited the same group that had been at the Labor Day weekend the year before, plus a few additional relatives who had been supportive. The property was stunning after the renovations. We had transformed it into a luxury wellness retreat with a world-class spa, gourmet restaurant and activities, ranging from guided hikes to yoga classes to wine tastings. Uncle Tom and Aunt Carol were among the first guests. "Amelia, this is incredible," Carol said as we sat in the spa's relaxation room. "2 years ago, you were worried about making ends meet, and now you own 2 resorts. Hard work pays off," I said simply. "It's more than that. You have vision. You saw opportunities where other people saw problems." That evening, as we gathered for dinner at the Mountain View restaurant, Uncle Tom stood up to make a toast. "I want to say something about Amelia," he began. 2 years ago, some people in this family thought she was struggling to find her way. They were wrong. She wasn't struggling, she was building. She was creating something amazing while the rest of us were comfortable with the status quo." He raised his glass. "To Amelia, who proves that success isn't about following someone else's path. It's about having the courage to build your own." Everyone raised their glasses, and I felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the wine. A week after the Mountain View opening, Jessica called me. She sounded different, less defensive, more tired. "Amelia, can we talk? Really talk?" "Not like at the wedding." "What do you want to talk about?" "I want to apologize." That surprised me. "Okay." "I've been thinking a lot about what you said at Rachel's wedding, about the vacation expenses, and Mom never asking you to contribute. I called Mom to ask her about it, and she admitted that you offered to pay every year. She said she thought it would be easier to just have one family there instead of trying to coordinate with everyone." "Easier for whom?" That's what I asked her, and she couldn't really answer. Jessica was quiet for a moment. I also asked her why she always made those comments about your job not being real work. She said she was worried about your financial stability and thought she was encouraging you to find something more secure by insulting what you were building. I know it doesn't make sense, but I think she genuinely thought she was helping. What do you think, Jessica? Another pause. I think I was jealous. Jealous of what? Of your freedom? Of your creativity? Of the fact that you were building something that was entirely yours. Mike and I have a good life, but it's predictable. We do the same things every year, go to the same places, have the same conversations. You are creating something new. So, you decided to tear me down instead of supporting me. I decided to make myself feel better by convincing myself that what you were doing wasn't real success. It was easier than admitting that maybe I was playing it too safe. It was the most honest conversation Jessica and I had ever had. I'm sorry, Amelia. I'm sorry for the comments about your job. I'm sorry for supporting Mom's decision to exclude you from vacations, and I'm sorry for making you feel like you weren't successful enough to deserve respect. Thank you for saying that. Is there any chance we could start over? Not go back to how things were, but maybe build something new? I thought about it. Maybe, but it would have to be different. I'm not going back to being the family member who accepts less just to keep the peace. I understand and I respect what you've built. Both businesses are incredible. Thank you. Would it be okay if I brought the kids to visit Seaside Haven sometime? Not as a family obligation, just as customers paying for a vacation. I'd be happy to have you as guests. But Jessica, things are different now. I'm different now. I know. And maybe that's a good thing. People always say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned that's not the whole saying. The full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." The relationships you choose and build are stronger than the ones you're born into. I chose to build a business, a life, and relationships with people who value me. I chose to stop accepting less than I deserve, just because someone shares my DNA. Some people might say I'm being petty or vindictive. Maybe I am. But after 8 years of being told there wasn't enough room for me and my children, I discovered something wonderful. There's always enough room when you build your own table. The beach house seats 8 people comfortably. My 2 resorts accommodate 96 guests combined and employ 43 people. Jessica was right about one thing. Having a real job does help you afford your own vacation. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. And business is very, very good. As I write this, it's been 3 years since I bought Seaside Haven. Mountain View Lodge is booked solid through next summer, and I'm looking at a 3rd property in Colorado. My graphic design agency has 15 employees and clients across the country. Alex is now 11 and wants to be an entrepreneur like his mom. Mia is 9 and has decided she wants to be a chef so she can work at one of our resort restaurants. They're confident, happy kids who know their worth and won't settle for being anyone's second choice. Mom and I have had several conversations over the past year. She's working on understanding why her actions hurt me, and I'm working on forgiveness. It's a slow process, but we're making progress. Jessica and I have found a new dynamic. We're not as close as we once were, but there's mutual respect now. Her family did visit Seaside Haven last summer, and it was actually pleasant. No comments about my career. No passive-aggressive remarks about money. Just two families enjoying a vacation together. The family dynamics have shifted permanently. I'm no longer the family member who needs charity or pity. I'm the family member who employs 43 people and gives back to the community through local hiring and charity events. Most importantly, I'm no longer the family member who accepts less than she deserves just to keep the peace. I built my own peace, and it's magnificent. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just refusing to stay small to make other people comfortable. Sometimes it's building something so beautiful that people have no choice but to respect what you've accomplished. And sometimes when someone tells you there's not enough room for you, the best response is to go build your own room, then build another one, then build an empire. There's always enough room when you're the one holding the blueprints.